Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast interview. On today's show, I am so happy to have back on the topic of SEO, paid search, and overall marketing strategy, Greg Gifford. He's the COO of SearchLab. Greg, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me back. It's always fun to have a chat with you.
You know, one thing that has remained consistent is dealers need to market their business, even though they thought they could pause during short inventory levels. The dealers that cut back lost market share. The dealers who pressed in gained market shares. What are you seeing now, Greg, across your clients as a high level? Are they back to believing in marketing? Do we still have some holdouts that believe that, I've been making so much money without too much marketing, I'm going to keep it going that way?
Yeah, I mean, like among our clients, the dealers that we work with obviously understand the importance of SEO and PPC, and they're continuing to invest in it. But, you know, having just gotten back from NADA in Dallas and prepping for Digital Dealer and just talking to lots of dealers that, you know, we randomly talk to in the sales process, it seems like SEO / PPC / marketing is something that more dealers understand they need to be doing, but it almost seems like fewer dealers really get what it is or how to understand if the vendor that they're working with is really doing anything to help them. It's almost like they know they need it and they'll check off the checkbox of, okay, cool, I'm doing SEO with some horrible vendor, but they don't know that they're horrible, and they're spending $500 on paid search a month, so they think that they've got all the bases covered. But then you also do, and I had several conversations in Dallas with some other vendors that we're friendly with, that there's also a scary number of dealers that are dropping digital marketing because of the recession. And we had a dealership that stopped working with us, and they told us, hey, look, our profit per car has dropped significantly post-COVID now that inventory is back, which subtext means they're not charging $10,000 over sticker because they can. But they're saying that their profit per car has dropped significantly, so they're going to stop doing all their marketing because that just cuts into their profits more, which obviously, you know, is not the right logic there, because if you're not going to market, it's going to cost you even more to sell the cars that you're going to sell. So I don't get that. But in general, most people get it. They're still doing it. I think there's a higher level of understanding that it's important. I just don't think most dealers really know how to hold their vendors accountable or their own teams accountable. Because I was talking to somebody at NADA, and they've got 50-ish dealerships, if I remember correctly, and they have their own marketing team, but it's a marketing team of two that's doing all of the SEO and PPC for like 40 or 50 dealerships. And I just looked at a couple of sites live with them there at our booth, and it was horrible. They would have been better off just not having their people do any SEO on the site, because they were actually doing it really incorrectly. So it's like it's always been. I mean, you've been doing SEO and digital marketing for years in automotive. It's always a mixed bag.
So let's talk about that. Both your company, my company, we get called in to look at other people's work. We call it an audit or a mini audit, right? And you've done these too. And the problem with the audit is that when people hire, and we have a paid audit service, they're like, well, you're just going to tell me my vendor sucks, so you want me to sign up with you. I said, no, if we're going to do an audit, you're going to pay me for it. I'm just going to lay out the facts. Now, I would say less than half actually sign up with us as an agency. So I feel good that it's not like a sham. But then there's other people who like, wow, why wouldn't my vendor be doing a better job? And you hit the nail on the head. Well, you're paying $500 a month for a manual process that is really time intensive and takes thought and training. And so you're kind of getting what you're paying for, which is a lot of nothing. Are you finding that same thing, that people have this wrong? They could be spending $10,000 a month on pay-per-click because they see clicks, but they somehow think $500 a month on SEO checks the box?
That is my biggest pet peeve, and it's almost specifically a problem in the automotive vertical. I don't really run into it much outside of automotive, but yeah, you've got these dealerships that don't bat an eye at dropping 30, 40, 50 grand a month on paid search between Facebook and Google and Bing and everywhere else. But then you quote them an SEO price and they're like, that's way too expensive. I'm not going to spend 3 or 4 grand a month on SEO. Like 500 is going to totally cover it. Anything more than 500 is wasted money. It's too expensive. And it's like, buddy, you're spending 50 grand a month on paid search. What do you not understand that SEO is going to get you more for the couple grand that you're going to spend than the 50 grand that you're spending on paid search? Like, I don't get it.
Yep. It still frustrates me. And listen, there's a role for content, but there's also a role in making sure your Google business profile is set up properly. And I still can't believe that I see dealers that have, like car dealer as their primary category.
Right.
And no other categories. They're a Chrysler dealer, they a big Dodge dealer, Ram dealer, Chrysler, Dodge dealer, used car dealer, truck dealer, used truck, and they have car dealer. I mean, how bad is our industry in ignoring what I would say free traffic to the website? It almost feels like when someone says, hey, I'm paying for SEO, I just look at their Google My Business, and if it sucks, I just tell them, hey, you're dealing with the wrong person.
Well, I mean, that's the problem, though. You got some people that think SEO is only the Google business profile, and all they do is pay attention to that. And you've got other people that they do SEO, and all they're getting is a couple of 250-word crappy blog posts a month, and they call that SEO. But most dealers kind of get it. But, we have a cool little, speaking of the audit thing, we call it a matrix, not really an audit, because it's really on the basic tactical level. So it's not really an audit. It's just saying, are these basic tactics being handled by your vendor or your team? And we see constantly that the whole problem with incorrect category selection. And like you said, they'll just have car dealer and nothing else, or they'll just have Ford dealer and nothing else. And something like, and we're finishing up writing it all up, but we did a really massive research project where we pulled over 6.2 million data points on like 8,500 Google business profiles. And a third of that was car dealers. But when we kind of got rid of the service department listings and parts department listings, we ended up with about 2,500 business profiles for car dealers. And something like 30 or 31% of those 2,500 dealers didn't have cars for sale, which is just nutty to me. Like, why would you not want your inventory displayed on your business profile? And there are a million different ways to get it. And nowadays, most vendors just throw it in for free because it's so ridiculously cheap. How do dealerships still not have inventory displayed on their business profiles? I don't get it.
Well, it comes down to education. And, honestly, as I'm talking with you here and we're kind of pining over the same repetitive problems, honestly, I haven't been doing much writing or teaching on SEO. I've kind of moved on to other topics, but I just wonder if that's been a tactical mistake. In the past, Greg, you and I have written and invested, and maybe we just assume that people are bored, but it can't be that case if it's still not getting fixed. I just wonder if it's time to get back and doing some online training where we just pick some random dealers, not to attack them, but just to show I can pick 10 random Google My Business profiles, and probably 7 out of the 10 are not right.
Yep, exactly. And, I still do a lot of educational stuff, but it's just general digital marketing. Like, it's not specific to automotive. So, right. Yeah, maybe I just need to come back and concentrate more on the automotive realm and write some more articles or whatever, because just speaking at all the conferences isn't getting the message out there,
Yeah, and I'm just equally as frustrated because I was just talking to a general manager yesterday, and he hired us to do an audit, and their agency doesn't want to cooperate and give access to anything. And I just said, wow.
That's enough sign right there to bail.
Yeah. When I say without sounding self-serving, how could you trust a company that wouldn't even let you on, you're the client, someone else look, oh, they're going to see our secret sauce. And I try to explain, there's really no secret sauce. It's just about execution. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. There's absolutely zero secret sauce. Between all of the conference presentations that I do and the various training platforms where I've got free and paid training courses all over the internet, there is no secret sauce. I tell everybody it's a completely open kimono. Here's exactly what we do, exactly why we do it, and here's how it works. Any marketing partner that tells you they have a secret sauce or a secret recipe, they're just lying. There is no secret sauce. There is no secret recipe. The other really scary thing is, everything happens in cycles, and it seems like we're really swinging back in the direction that a lot of agencies are putting the dealer's Google ads on the agency account, not on the dealer's own account. So the dealer has zero transparency into what's actually going on in their ad account. All they see is whatever they get in their reports. And I was even talking to a dealer the other day that said, oh, well, yeah, it's on their account, but they let us see stuff. And I'm like, can you log in with your own login and at least have view access? And they said, oh, no, but, they'll log in on a screen share and show us stuff. And I'm like, that still isn't sufficient. You need to know what your money is being spent on, and you need to know that they're paying attention. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to do an audit for a dealership, or we're just taking a look at their ad account as part of the sales process, and we see that nothing has been done in an ad account for like 6 to 8 months, and the dealer has no idea of that because they don't have anyone that knows to look at that stuff. We can talk about this all day long. I want to just encourage the dealers here who are listening. Look, it literally takes a few minutes to inspect your Google My Business profile. It takes you just a few minutes to ask, do I have access and ownership of my Google Ads account? It only takes a few minutes to actually say, hey, do I have Google Analytics version 4 set up, and do I see real traffic and conversion events set up? Just a few minutes. You don't have to be an expert. You could just say, let's log in. Do we own it? Can we see it? And when they run into these problems about transparency, it really should be a red flag that they should call in and have an assessment, have an independent audit. It is absolutely critical that they know that they own it, they have access to it, and they have the freedom to move from one vendor to another. Do you agree? Oh, completely. Because the other thing that dealers don't get is, sure, maybe that vendor is doing it on their ad account, and maybe you're getting amazing results. And there's nothing wrong with what that vendor is doing other than the fact that you don't own the ad account or have access to the ad account. But what happens if that vendor starts to suck in the future and you decide that you want to change? Or you talk to another vendor and maybe you're doing SEO and PPC separately, and now you want to consolidate and have the same vendor doing it so it's a cohesive strategy. And that means you need to leave your current paid search vendor, even though there's not really anything wrong with them other than the fact you want to have everything under one roof. Now you have to start from scratch. You can't take all of that work with you and your account with you. Your new vendor literally has to start from scratch and build it from the ground up, which means you're kind of trapped with the current vendor, because it's, especially if you're spending more than a couple of grand a month, that is a little bit to a whole lot of work that has to be done that's completely unnecessary.
Great. Now let's talk about that. You implied it, you messaged it about the balance, complementing. So if a dealer said, hey, Greg, listen, I understand you're the SEO guy, but you also tell me I need PPC. What are some of the keywords or strategies that you believe today dealers need PPC for, that the SEO isn't easily accomplishable?
Oh, I mean, like, one of the most important things is to overcome the proximity bias, because Google's going to use its local algorithm whenever people are searching for things related to dealerships, which means you're only going to show up in a pretty tightly defined geographic area. And if you're, a smaller town that's fairly near to a larger market, maybe not necessarily in the suburbs, but, you're 45 minutes away from a large metro and you want to show up in searches in that metro, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to show up organically. So do Google ads and overcome the proximity bias and buy ads to get visibility where you don't currently have it. That's a humongous opportunity that a lot of dealerships miss out on. Another one is dealers don't always realize they can buy ads in the map pack. So, the map pack's only going to show those top 3. That's a great way to overcome proximity bias. Even if you could potentially show in the top 3, if you're not reliably showing in the top 3, just buy that local ad so that you're going to show up as an advertised spot. And now the map pack is 4 instead of 3. And then if they click into the local finder, you show at the very top of the list. That's awesome. We've got dealers that are doing, service only, like only fixed stops. That's all they're doing paid search on because they're just not having trouble selling cars. Cool. That's a huge opportunity a lot of dealers don't do anything with. We've got some really progressive dealers that they're doing their hiring with paid search ads. So there's a lot of things that can be done if you think outside the box, but that's the problem. Most of the vendors out there, especially the OEM approved vendors, they don't think outside the box, and they don't want to think outside the box because from a cost perspective, they can't afford to. So they literally click a button and let everything run on full automation.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the downsides of the co-op reimbursement programs is that they've asked, dealers to provide a low price, be competitive, and kind of a little bit of race to the bottom. Now, it is good to see that there are some co-op SEO packages that are higher. I've seen some 3,000 plus, and I like that if they're doing the work, meaning
exactly.
To do the right job, you need the right trained people. You need the time to write. You need the time to build trust and relevance in a local community through content. I love, by the way, the recommendation on the ads on the map pack. Those Google local ads are super important for capturing directional search, especially if your dealership is a destination dealership. There are some dealerships that are on the outskirts. They want to get people from in town to drive out. Maybe they're a little bit more price competitive. It's very tough to do that with SEO. It's really easy to do with PPC.
Yep.
I love it. Greg, as if you were sitting down at a dinner table with a dealer who wasn't really sure if they should be investing in SEO to the level that we want, the level that we believe. What's one thing would you tell them at the dinner table why they should think about changing this $500 a month mentality to more of a, say, $2,500 or $3,000 a month mentality?
That's a really easy conversation to have. The thing that I like to do is equate SEO to lawyers. People get that lawyers charge by time. Now, SEO doesn't go so far to charge you extra for every phone call or every email, but everyone has a basic understanding that when you hire a lawyer, you are paying for every minute that lawyer is working on your case. SEO is fairly similar. You're not buying software. You're not buying, anything automated. You are buying a single butt or multiple butts and seats that are sitting there doing the work. And you mentioned that earlier. You're buying the expertise of the person. So if you're going to get divorced, do you want to buy, or do you want to have your lawyer be the bargain basement divorce attorney who doesn't really ever win cases, but hey, guess what? He only charges $50 an hour. Or do you want the killer divorce attorney that charges $500 or $600 an hour and wins every case that they get? Right. It's an easy choice there. And so if you're paying $500 a month for SEO, the industry average for billable time in SEO is $150 an hour. So that $500 disappears really quickly. That's like 3.5 hours of work is all you're getting every single month. Writing a single piece of content is going to take at least an hour to an hour and a half. And that's going to be a sucky piece of content. But still, assume that they're spending just an hour writing a piece of content. That's $150 gone. Then they're going to have to prepare your monthly report. There's another at least 30 minutes. But let's round it up to another hour there. So there's 2 hours of work down plus the hour of a phone call. So really you're paying for an hour of work outside of the monthly report that you get. It just doesn't make sense to do it that way. There are way too many signals involved that Google's looking at to determine what sites are going to show up higher. You just can't do that with a couple of hours of work. The other big problem is most of those guys that just charge $500, it's an easy question to ask that vendor. Hey, look, I don't care whether one person does all the work or whether it's a team of people that do all the work. But for the people that touch my account, what's the average number of dealerships that those people touch in a month? And that answer is going to be easily over 75. Most of the time it's over 100. So then you can even back even better into the math that way. So, can I name names here, or is that like uncouth?
Well, we probably shouldn't. We should be
the big elephant in the room that's been around for forever, that's in every OEM program. I know for a fact, because I know people on their team, that each person on the SEO team has to deal with over 100 dealers per month. Do the math on that. There's 160 hours of workable time in a month if you're working a 40-hour week. So that means you also have to understand at that company or at any company, not 100% of any employee's time is going to be on client work. You've got internal meetings and things that you have to do there. But let's just be really basic and assume that it really is 160 hours a month of time. If the people that are doing your SEO on that SEO team are each responsible for 100 plus dealers a month, that means you're getting maybe an hour and a half, maybe not even quite an hour and a half of time per month for that $500. Versus that $3,000 or $3,000 plus vendor, you're getting 12, 13, 14, 15 hours of time a month.
Right.
If you're trying to win the race to the top of Google search results, what do you want? Somebody that's going to spend an hour a month or somebody that's going to spend 10 or more hours a month? The answer is easy. You want 10 or more hours a month. Who cares if you're saving money? Like, cheap SEO ends up costing you more in the long run. Doesn't make sense.
Preach it, brother. Preach it, preach it, preach it. Well, I am so glad we reconnected on this topic because, I started with SEO, my Twitter handle, automotive SEO, never changed it. Love it. I'm still fascinated with search and, I'm a student of the game. But when it comes down to it, and I loved your lawyer analogy, when people call me in to do consulting or advice, I quickly get to a resolution. They're like, wow, man, how did you know that? Or how did you solve that problem? Or how did you build that framework? I say, yeah, that's 18 years of experience.
Exactly.
And I know how to get things done and get them done right. Greg, it's just a reminder, you get what you pay for. If I'm in a bind, I want the best attorney. Dealers have multi-million-dollar businesses, loans, property, human resources, capital, and they need to understand that working with the best makes a difference. If a dealer wanted to get some more information on SearchLab's PPC and SEO services, where would they go?
They can go right to our website. It's just searchlabdigital.com. We don't have chat, but there's a contact form you can fill out or a text widget that you can text us directly and just get in touch really quickly. Or if somebody's got a specific question for me, they can email me directly at greg@searchlabdigital.com.
Come on, it's searchlabdigital.com. And Greg, you're going to be in Austin in May at the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. What do you like the most about coming out to our events?
Oh, man, I am so excited to finally come back to DMSC. I did it for years and then, switched companies and it wasn't happening anymore. But I think more than, man, this is going to sound like I'm just sitting here trying to, suck up to you. But it's a great event that compared to every other automotive event, it's unparalleled access to the speakers. There is such a focus put on networking at DMSC compared to any other event where it's not just, hey, let's throw an event and have some vendors with some booths and have some, conference talks that people can maybe come to, maybe not. And then basically dealers are going to maybe talk to a vendor or two and then have a reason to get out of town and have some drinks with some other dealers. This is more, everyone has these networking opportunities. There are social gatherings. There are so many things that happen at this event outside of the conference talks in the expo hall. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we've focused on over the years is We serve great food, so people aren't leaving to go get a real meal somewhere. We have the cocktail hours every night. We do not do events at night, so vendors and dealers can go out to dinner and network. Of course, there's a lot of interaction plus intimate. Like the DMSC conference is unique that only the sponsors who are investing in dealer education and the dealers are there. Our fall conference is different. Anybody can buy a ticket. So DMSC has always been more intimate, more impactful. It attracts the top folks in the industry. And this year, with the topics of first-party data management, the evolution of CDPs, GA4 implementation with the ASC spec, new AI tools to help dealers operate more efficiently and keep their labor costs down, and of course, fundamental strategies like we're talking about today. The latest updates in PPC, whether it's the VLAs or GPB or the latest approaches for SEO, especially for EV vehicles, which is a growing search trend. And there's something for everyone. And then one new thing, Greg, we haven't announced it publicly as we're recording this podcast, but we're adding an extra day to DMSC just for GA4. So we're going to have a full day of GA4 training on inspecting your GA4 account, making sure you own it, making sure the events are firing, make sure conversion events are set up, how to roll up data into reporting, how to activate it in Google Ads. We're going to have a lot of fun. So that's a special bonus this year, just because the GA4 deadline is coming up on July.
Yep.
So, Greg, one last thing. As you are setting up your dealer accounts, what are you seeing? Are dealers ready for GA4? Do they have their accounts set up?
No
what are you
way.
finding out in the field?
I don't think anybody's ready for GA4, and it's too bad that we're not on video because you'd see me putting on my tinfoil hat. You know how dealers and vendors are all about the next shiny object. They want the new thing that they want to be on the cutting edge. And right now, GA4 is the big buzz that everybody wants to talk about. But GA4 is still limited beta. It is not ready for public consumption. And a lot of stuff isn't there. And even, almost weekly, they're adding new elements, new features into GA4 to get it ready for prime time. And so all these vendors and dealers that are like, oh, we're on GA4 and we're running blah, 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 blah. Okay, who cares? Because it's going to change in the next couple of months anyway. And it's a big, giant piece of horse pucky right now. It does not work the way it should work. And outside of automotive, it's a little bit more obvious. There's a lot of shortcomings on the e-commerce side that dealers don't necessarily have to worry about. But I can't tell you how many dealers we've talked to that don't even have GA4 set up at all. And everyone in the industry has been very public about saying, hey, look, the cutoff date is the end of June this summer. And we've been saying it since a year ago. And every conference event, every article, every post, every webinar, everything has said, GA4 is coming, GA4 is coming. You need to at least get it set up so you've got historical data. And I don't know what the numbers are, but it's got to be a really low percentage of dealers that have it set up, which is actually kind of irresponsible because every website vendor has access to be able to go in and set it up for all their clients. So why are they not doing that? Every digital marketing vendor should be doing that. We've done it. I'm sure you guys have done it, but so many haven't. So why are you paying a vendor that's not getting you ready for the future? You don't have to be fully running GA4 and living in GA4 every day, or even running reports out of GA4, but it needs to be on your site collecting data. And a lot of dealers still don't have it. I think, and this is the tinfoil hat bit, when Google does thousands of updates a year to the algorithm, anytime they know an update is going to significantly affect a large portion of search results, they'll pre-announce it. They'll say, hey, we've got this Panda update or this Penguin update, or the page experience update last year was the last major one that they pre-announced months ahead of the rollout of the update. And almost every time they delay that rollout by a little bit, even though they've said, hey, this is coming, they'll get to it and they'll delay it because not enough people are ready. I really think that's what's going to happen. Now, do I think that means GA4 is not going to be ready to go? No, I think they're still going to have GA4 ready, to turn on officially and use. But what I think is they're not going to kill Universal Analytics at the end of June. I would bet they're going to extend Universal Analytics data collection at least to the end of this year, if nothing for at least a few months, because there's just too many people out there that won't have it ready. Another big kind of clue for that is just a week or two ago, Google announced to everybody, hey, look, this is your last chance to set up GA4 yourself. Otherwise, we're just going to do it for you. Google wouldn't be sending out an email telling everybody, hey, we're going to set up GA4 for you if most of the people had already had it set up.
That's right. It's a good point. I've been working with the Automotive Standards Council to unify the events. We will be publishing an updated grid of all the companies in automotive that are supporting the standard and what their support status is. But many companies are not at 100%, and we're getting very, very close to this deadline. Well, we will definitely keep an eye on it, and that's why we're doing this GA4 full day indoctrination to help kickstart the next generation of analytics leaders. If this is the first time you're listening to a podcast interview, you should know that I interview dozens of automotive leaders each year who are transforming automotive retail strategy, marketing, and bringing new innovations and candor to our retail discussions. So you can go to brianpash.libsyn, that's libsyn.com, or go to the Apple Podcast channel, Google Play Store, SoundCloud, anywhere where you listen for podcasts, and just search for the Brian Pash Podcast. Greg, thanks for being on the show today. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to get your tickets for DMSC. You can see Greg directly and talk to him about your organic and digital marketing strategy and tap into all the experts that are going to be there. Wait till you see the agenda. Just go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. Get your tickets, book your hotel. It will sell out. I am not joking. So get your tickets early, and we'll all see you in Austin. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on another podcast interview.